Hello. Um, this is current events class, obviously, and we've only got a couple days left of the semester. So I want to talk about something that I think is relevant. Speaking of current events, the Pledge of Allegiance and standing or choosing not to stand for the pledge, whether at school or somewhere else. Um, I'm doing this in a Edpuzzle form so that we don't have potential for any issues. But I do want you to trust me. Please trust me. Please trust me to handle this appropriately. Um, because what I'm not going to do is take a side. I'm not going to say that one side is right and one side is wrong, or that you're both right or you're both wrong. I'm not going to say anything like that. I'm just going to get you to think and use a Supreme Court case like I did with the uh, holiday music in public. So I beg you, please trust me to handle this appropriately. If you have any questions or problems or issues, talk to me at the very beginning of class, like right now, as soon as you start seeing this. But I think that um, I think whatever you decide to do during the Pledge of Allegiance, I think that, or whatever you have decided to do during the Pledge of Allegiance, this will get everybody to think and uh, etc. So, my first question is: do you sit or stand? Do you stand or sit during the Pledge of Allegiance? Or if you don't sit or stand, something else like kneel or whatever. Uh, do you do that? Which do you do during the pledge? Then the question is, why? Why do you choose to do that? Now, at this point, if it's too personal, if there's something like very deeply personal to you, and you're not comfortable with explaining, just tell me that you're not comfortable with explaining, and that's fine. And if it's you stand just out of habit, then you can put that down too. And if you decide to sit for political protest reasons or um, whatever, just let me know. But if it's too personal, you can just say, I'm not comfortable with explaining, and that's fine with me. That's totally fine. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate with both sides, or at least maybe not devil's advocate, but at least try to get you to think. One of the goals of this class is to help you figure out what you believe and why you believe it. And so, if somebody just asked you a challenging question, how would you answer? If you choose to stand during the pledge, why do you choose to stand during the pledge? Remember this. It's a pledge of allegiance. Do you know what allegiance means? Here's what allegiance means: allegiance, loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior or an individual to a group or a cause. In other words, what you're saying is that I am going to subordinate myself. Like here are my rights or whatever, and I'm going to go down here. I'm going to willingly place myself in a subordinate position. That doesn't mean necessarily inferior, and it doesn't necessarily mean um, bootlicker or something like that. But what it means is that there is a superior, and I'm going to pledge my loyalty to that entity, that person, place, thing, government, whatever, to individual or to a cause. So I think in this case, the Pledge of Allegiance, as we'll go through in just a second, is more of a not a pledge to a flag really, but a pledge to a cause. Do you know what that means? Everything that's required to pledge allegiance to something, and are you willing to do those things? Because if not, then you're just going through the Pledge of Allegiance with I don't know, maybe a little bit of a habit, not really thinking about it, which is fine. I'm just saying that just think where are you at with this, and so answer that if you're there. But if you don't choose to stand, whatever you choose to do besides stand, well, why don't you? And unfortunately, in this context, this time period, um, some people might question your patriotism or your loyalty to the country or whatever. It would not be new. People have questioned other people's loyalty for ever since the beginning of our country. Um, has somebody challenged you on your patriotism? If you haven't stood, and what do you say in return? I remember there's this time at Logan Elm. It was the year after I had left, so it was my first year here, and there was this kid at Logan Elm that didn't stand during the pledge. That when it was done during government class, and I think he had a back issue or something like that. Was supposed to wear a back brace most of the time, and another kid just got up and punched him. Right? That's terrible. That's horrible. I will make my opinion known on that one. You shouldn't cause physical violence to anyone because of standing or not for the pledge. I'll put my opinion out on that one, but um, I bring that up because it might be in some circles very uncomfortable for the person to not stand. So um, I just want to say that I recognize that and so on. And I am not saying that either side is right or wrong. I'm not taking a stand here. I'm not saying that either side is bad. I respect people that have strong beliefs about things. So I just want that to be clear. So look at the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Now, let's be honest. It's not really like you're pledging allegiance to the flag, right? Here it says right here, you're pledging allegiance to the republic, to the experiment in democracy that we call the United States of America. That you're pledging allegiance to that. Remember, a pledge, it's not like you're swearing an oath, but you're still affirming, right? This one nation under God, this under God part right here was added in the 1950s because communism, almost by definition, classical communism, pretty much by definition, according to Karl Marx, is atheist, or at least according to Lenin, the Russian version, right, is atheist. And so there were people in the United States who wanted to affirm that we are the opposite of Soviet communism. And so they added that in the 50s. Indivisible, meaning we'll never have, you can't leave the republic. Like if you're like a state, like South Carolina, like Ohio, like California, like once you're in as a state. We're not going to have another civil war where you can just leave because you want to leave. With liberty and justice for all. I think everybody would be cool with this, right? Liberty and justice for all. I think everybody's cool with that. So that's what it says. That's what it means, at least at a surface level, right? So here's my question for everyone. This kind of gets into government a little bit, but it's what what you all are doing every Monday. It's current events. This is a hypothetical. This is not going to happen. But here's the question: do you even have the right to not stand? Do you have the right to sit or kneel or whatever? And if so, where would you find that right at? Look, let's just say hypothetical. It's not going to happen. It really won't. It's not on the horizon. I'm not saying that there's any talk about that. There's not. What if though, any school board in the country said, if you don't stand for the pledge every Monday morning, then that Monday evening, afternoon, you will have a detention after school. What if that was a school board policy and it was enforced? Would that policy be constitutional? And how do you know? How do you know that it would be constitutional or unconstitutional? Where does it say in the Constitution or the Declaration or the Bill of Rights or whatever that you have the right to not sit or kneel. Where does it say that? I mean, this is the United States. Like we point to places, to texts, to documents. They say this is where my rights are. That's what the whole Bill of Rights thing was all about. If you remember from your sophomore year of class, if you haven't gotten there yet, then you'll learn that next year. The Bill of Rights, like the reason for it is we can point to it and say this is where my rights are. So where are your rights in this situation? How do you know if this is constitutional or not? Okay, let me have you watch this video.
As the late 1930s led inevitably toward World War, patriotic fervor grew in America. Part of that fervor included laws.
So we're talking about end of the Great Depression, beginning to think about getting involved in World War II.
Requiring school children to salute the American flag and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. But Jehovah's Witnesses refused to participate. They believe.
If you don't know, Jehovah's Witnesses are a certain branch of Christianity. And there's several things about them that's unique that come up, kind of on a regular basis in their lives if they're part of a public school. They don't celebrate birthdays or really any kind of holiday like Christmas or Thanksgiving. They don't salute the pledge. They don't salute the flag because they believe God is the only one that you salute or pledge allegiance to.
Believed saluting the flag violated the commandment against graven images or likenesses.
One of the 10 Commandments in the Bible says not to make a graven image or to make an idol or anything like that to worship. And so they're saying that is replacing God in some way.
But in 1940, the Supreme Court held in the Gobitis case that a mandatory flag salute was constitutional, and that decision signaled open season against Jehovah's Witnesses. Their kingdom halls were burned down, often as police and firefighters watched. Jehovah's Witnesses were harassed, beaten, and run out of their homes. One sheriff, asked why he allowed such violence, replied, quote, "They're traitors. The Supreme Court says so," unquote. The press was outraged, and even First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt condemned the violence. After Gobitis, the West Virginia Board of Education enacted a mandatory flag salute rule. Refusal to participate constituted insubordination, which could result in a student's expulsion. Expelled children were considered unlawfully absent, subjecting them and their parents to penalties. Barnett and other Jehovah's Witnesses sued the Board of Education in federal court. Despite Gobitis, a 3-judge district court panel enjoined the board from compelling Jehovah's Witness children to salute the flag. The Board of Education then appealed directly to the United States Supreme Court.
So this is one of those rare cases where the Supreme Court actually overruled themselves. That's what you'll see here in a 6-3 decision. So it wasn't like the closest decision. In a 6-3 decision, they overruled their previous decision three years before, just 3 years before, and said that compelling public school children to salute the flag was unconstitutional. The First Amendment cannot enforce a unanimity of opinion on any topic. The First Amendment doesn't require us to all have the same ideas and thoughts and sentiments, is basically what that's saying. And the flag should not receive a level of deference that trumps constitutional protections, that your rights as a free citizen is more important than forcing you to salute the flag. So the implication is you can refuse to participate in the pledge for religious reasons, which begs the question, if you choose not to participate in the pledge, are you doing so for religious reasons? If not, Can any non-religious reasons be protected? Are non-religious reasons for not participating in the pledge protected under law? I want you to do some research. I want you to find out. Because if your reason is not religious in nature for not standing, is that still protected then? Because this was a ruling on or for religious reasons. I want everybody to do some research here. Everybody, whether or not you believe in standing or whatever, find out. Are non-religious reasons for not participating in the pledge protected under law? Paste your findings in the box below. Answer that question. Be sure to tell me where you got your information from. Thanks.